Welcome back, everyone. I just want to thank all 5 of you guys that are watching this video. I am so excited to be here. I mean, it's been a really long time since I've been able to just like sit down and have a heart-to-heart moment video. And so I'm super excited. I want to start a series called Boasting in My Infirmities. And I got it from, I didn't come up with it, but it essentially came together when I was reading 2 Corinthians chapter 12. It's the famous chapter where Paul, has been praying about God, like basically begging God to take something from him, this thorn away from him that's been bothering him. And instead of God healing him or taking the thorn from him, like we don't know what the thorn is. Instead of God fixing the issue, essentially, he responds and says, "My grace is sufficient for you." But this time around, that wasn't like the thing that stood out to me. And so I want to walk through what clicked, which led me to see the goodness and the kindness of God in my healing journey. So real quick, let's define infirmities. Infirmities refers to a state of weakness or illness that highlights the need for healing and restoration. It can be both physical or spiritual or even emotional. They tend to like remind you of your humanity. Like it reminds you of how much you need God to get through life, essentially. So in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 5, Paul says when it comes to himself, the only thing he wants to boast about are his infirmities, the areas that he falls short in. And then jump to verse 9, he says that the reason he'd rather do that is so that the power of God would rest on him. The latter part of verse 9 says, "Therefore most gladly I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Because of the word power, my mind went to 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5 specifically, but I'll read 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 to 5. And it says, "But know this, that in the last days perilous times will come. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power." So then it clicked, right? It clicked because a lot of Christians, including myself, especially me, we walk around presenting a form of godliness. We look the part, we talk the part, we know the church lingo, we do the volunteer, we're doing all the things. However, we're walking around unhealed because we refuse to talk about our shortcomings or our infirmities, as Paul would say. So this led me to James 5, verse 16. Let's read. "Confess your trespasses to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed. The effective, fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much." There are some things that we will struggle with as human beings, as Christians, that you can't pray away in the secret place of prayer, or with no vulnerability, or with the lack of light exposing your sin. There are just some things that requires us to expose light to our shortcoming in order for us to be healed. God gave us that formula. Confess your sins one to another and you will be healed. Okay, which then led me to Revelations 12:11. The beginning of the verse 11 says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." So then I made the decision to talk about my infirmities and my shortcomings because I feel like because of the power of God that rests on me, I'm able to somehow help somebody or bring insight to somebody else about their shortcomings so that they may desire healing, because healing is for you. You are worthy of being healed. You are worthy of walking around in God's likeness, okay? People can't see the power of God if we don't share our struggles so that we can then be like, but God. That's how we show God's power. That's how we show how he's been effective in our lives, how he changed our lives, and the difference between the life we used to live before and the life that we currently live, but also that process of sanctification. I did this, and a lot of people do it. Like when you get saved, you tend to change a lot of things about you on the other outside. And some of the nasty stuff within you, that is something that God has to change, and we have to submit ourselves to that process, okay? So like I said, I'm not 100% sure how many videos will be in this series, but I am super excited. And since you've now watched the intro, go on ahead to episode 1. official episode of the Boasting in My Infirmities series, BIMI, or BIMI, or BIMI, BIMI, you know, like Boasting in My Infirmities. I don't know. I don't know. But thank you for watching the intro. On to the next.